Hi, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Women in Innovation, Break the Bias, and I am so happy that you're here. We're just going to take a couple of minutes to wait for more people to join. As you're joining, please tell us where you're joining us from, if you're already an innovation expert or just curious about the field right now. And I am going to walk you through some of our logistics as a first thing, and then just open the session. And then you will, get in touch with our amazing speakers. We will have roundtable sessions. And I am very excited to welcome you here for our second online event, Women in Innovation. So just to get us started, you've already made it here to the platform, which is great. So everything is happening here. So welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Now, if you are not joining us on a Chrome or a Firefox browser, please go ahead and do that. We really want to make sure that you have all the functionality and that everything works and that you have the best experience. And we just know that with some of the other browsers, there tend to be some problems. So if you're joining us from a different browser right now, please go ahead, open Chrome, open Firefox, and join us there. Now, there's a little video that we made so you can have some orientation around the platform. And if you haven't watched it, go ahead and watch that now. And there's all questions answered about that right now. So the speakers are going to be recorded on video, and you can join those sessions later if you are not available at this time. They're still going to be available for the next 90 days. There's a video library where you can look them up. There's also some PDFs and book recommendations in the Resource Center, and you can also connect with other people. So thank you again so much for being here. Welcome to the people that are just joining us right now. This is Women in Innovation, Break the Bias. Now, if you are facing any difficulties whatsoever, sometimes that just happens, feel free to reach out to my dear colleague, Jessica. She is available through chat, through the email address that you see right here. You can also give her a call on this phone number if it's really urgent. So Jessica is really here to answer all of your questions if you're facing any technical difficulties whatsoever. Now, we are going to have the first part right now. And the two sessions are going to be two speakers. And then afterwards, we're going to go into a networking part. Now, the networking part takes place on WonderMe. And that's what it looks like. So you see that there's these different roundtables that you can join. And it only takes 2 minutes to join. Take a picture, adjust your settings, make sure that you allow the browser to access your microphone and your camera. And again, with this, you're going to have the best experience with Chrome or Firefox. Safari, unfortunately, is not going to work for WonderMe. So please make sure that you're joining through Chrome or through Firefox for the networking session that is going to happen after the speakers. Now, this is a safe space, okay? So I want you all to feel really comfortable. I want you to be able to ask all of your questions, to share your own experiences, to share your thoughts. So we are going to ask you some questions in between. There's going to be some polls and some questions popping up in the chat, but the chat is also there for you to ask questions, for you to share your own experiences and your own thoughts. And for all of the different sessions, I am going to moderate the questions with the speakers. Now, if you do have some questions for the speakers that are not answered during the session, please go ahead and join their roundtable afterwards. That's what they're made for, so that you can interact with them afterwards. And there are no stupid questions. Please feel free to ask anything that you'd like. We're really here to exchange with one another. We're not necessarily here to teach you. We might want to inspire you, but we really do want to hear from you too. Now, before we get any more into this, I want to say a huge thank you to the partners that you can see on the screen right now, and especially a shout out to Skooks. We are using their platform right now. So if you're a fan, if you'd like to know more, they do have a virtual booth here. You can go there and you can go visit them, and they're going to answer all of your questions. That's the platform we're using for this event right now. So thank you again to all the sponsors and the partners. Now, we are here today because we have this motto, break the bias, right? International Women's Day. So the first thing that I think we should talk a little bit about is, what is bias? Like, why do we even have to talk about that? So bias is something where you have a prejudice, an idea that is in favor or against something or somebody. And that's something that you can develop on your own, but it's also something that you can be taught. So it's something that you can learn. And we all have bias. We all have bias towards certain things or people, or maybe even groups of people. But when we think about it in a more scientific way, then a bias is really a systematic error. And that's something important to keep in mind here, because we are talking about a whole system that is not working so well for us women right now. Now, just take a look at this picture that we have here. So these are some of my colleagues here at Hype. And that's me right there with my colleague Maria. I'm on the right-hand side. And Maria and I went to this innovation conference 2 weeks ago. And let me tell you, it was great because we got to meet people in person again, and we had so much fun. But when we looked around the room, 50% women, not at all. Like, that is just something that is not happening. And unfortunately, that's something that we are really, really used to. So in our daily work, in my daily work, I tend to be the only woman when speaking to my clients. Same for my colleagues. And our clients are innovation managers. And many of these innovation managers tend to be male, because innovation is still a very male-oriented field. And now Hype, the company that I work for, we offer software and consulting for innovation management. So of course, we are interacting a lot with men. And, that's fun and it's fine, but we do want to change something about that. So I'm Sandra. I am Hype's head of sustainability and social impact. My job is to work with our clients to innovate, not just for profit, not just for money, but also for people and planet. So, innovation can mean that we make more money, we save costs, we do these things, but it can also mean that we can be creative and we can change things. And it doesn't just have to mean that we can survive, but we can have more diversity and we can have more inclusion and we can make more space for people at the table. Now, why is that even important? So now we've learned about bias, but I also want to tell you about bias and innovation. Why does that even matter? Now, when we speak about innovation, innovation is really an idea that you implement. So it's an idea that you have executed so that you're now introducing new goods, new services, or something, or improved goods or services to the world or to the target group. Now, that's great, but how does that have to do with bias? Now, it's really the person who is doing this that is influencing innovation, okay? So as humans, we tend to find problems, or we tend to find solutions to the problems that we are facing. So a couple of days ago, I read this science study that was published last year. So Science is this big, renowned journal. And it was really about female inventors and how they're more likely to come up with ideas and products that focus on the needs of women. And men are often focused on their own needs, which is totally understandable. Now, this study was focused on the biomedical industry, and it showed that only 16.2% of patents in the biomedical field are owned by women. So that's not that much. But by the way, it's already 10% more than 30 years ago. So we are making progress, but it's still not that much. Now, if we did have gender parity, in those 35 years that the study was looking at, we would have 6,500 more female-focused inventions just in the US. So think about what we could do in the world with that. Now, we're missing out on medication. We're missing out on devices, on technology that could really benefit women's health. And that's just one of the industries that we're looking at. We can make the same observation in infrastructure, how our cities are built, the automotive industry, in cell phones. Like, how big is your phone? And can you reach everywhere with one hand? Probably not. So generally speaking, who benefits from innovation depends on who gets to invent. So when we reduce bias, when we increase the diversity of people who are actually innovating, it means that we're tackling completely different problems in the world. It means that if you do innovation right, we can create a better tomorrow together. And so without any further ado, these are our speakers that we have today. And they're all going to talk a little bit about bias in innovation and what we can do to end it. And that's what the whole Women in Innovation initiative is about. So we founded it a year and a half ago. We've done a lot of different things here. You are here today in our second online event. And I just can't wait for this whole thing to get started. So what I'm going to ask you to do right now is to join me with Miriam, who is joining us today from Saudi Arabia. And please go to the next session. And we are going to hear from her why women are important when it comes to innovating for sustainability. See you there.